Every few days now, it seems like we hear about another fire started by lithium-ion batteries. The home videos of the explosions are spectacular and frightening. But tonight, the I-Team is going to give you a much more intimate view of the potential risk. In collaboration with Telemundo 47 Investiga, Chris Glorioso took a lithium-ion battery pack to a fireproof room. As he learned, when these batteries burn, they produce not just one blast, but a series of chain reaction explosions.
You have likely seen lithium-ion battery fires from a distance, but chances are you haven't seen a fire like this up close. Really close. The I-Team purchased these battery packs online. They are replacement parts.
These are precisely the kinds of lithium-ion batteries that might be in an e-scooter charging in your home or in your building. So we took them to VTech Laboratories in the Bronx to show you exactly what a lithium-ion battery fire looks like.
Battery packs for e-mobility devices like e-bikes and e-scooters typically have dozens of cells protected by tough outer coverings. At VTech, they've developed this contraption. In a fireproof room, it tries to imitate what happens if just one cell in a pack suffers a serious dent or puncture.
3, 2, 1.
At 0 seconds, the pack is punctured. There's smoke, but there's not a catastrophic fire. In fact, after 4 minutes, most of the smoke is gone. But don't be fooled. This battery pack is still heating up. In another minute and a half, a battery cell reignites. Now the cardboard on the table is starting to burn, and in about another minute, more flame. This is where a process called thermal runaway accelerates. Neil Schultz is director of VTech Labs.
Thermal runaway is that the battery goes into ignition and combustion, and it keeps on this process until it completely uses up all its energy. And during that period of time, it gives off a large amount of heat, high temperature, and it's a good source of ignition for other objects all around it or in contact with it.
In thermal runaway, individual battery cells start catching fire not within minutes, but within seconds of each other. Now keep in mind, the I-Team purposely punctured this battery pack to ignite the fire. But it's not so hard to imagine battery packs on New York City streets getting banged up and busted. Delivery worker Gustavo Akche dodges potholes and vehicles each day. And each day he charges this pack in his living room.
We depend on this type of equipment.
About 8 minutes after our battery pack ignited, the chain reaction accelerates. You can imagine how the pops of shooting flames might impact furniture or household items all over a room. And look, there are still multiple battery cells that appear intact, but that won't last much longer. Just shy of 10 minutes from the first cell being damaged, a whiteout flash. Those once pristine battery cells are now charred and reaching maximum heat. 1 minute later, a final explosion breaks the testing equipment. That one battery pack produced nearly 11 minutes of not one fire, but an accelerating succession of hotter and hotter mini fires. That is thermal runaway. Now, fire experts have long said thermal runaway is most likely to involve tampered with cells, aftermarket charging adapters, and uncertified cheaper parts.
Make sure that the battery charger, the cord, and the bike are all compatible with one another.
But brand name and factory certified parts can cost hundreds of dollars more. That's why a group called Los Deliveristas Unidos is now pushing New York City to set a minimum wage for delivery workers.
A lot of deliveristas would be able to invest in a safer batteries if they would actually be paid a decent wage.
Back at VTech Labs, Neil Schultz hopes his facility can play another role in preventing battery fires. A few years ago, VTech hosted research for the U.S. Department of Transportation. It showed promise. In the study, researchers punctured lithium-ion cells and then conducted an identical test, except this time the batteries were encased in a slightly wet, spongy covering. The sponge successfully suppressed the fire. Dr. James Quinteri, the principal researcher, says more work on battery coverings could be a key to interrupting thermal runaway and the fiery chain reaction behind thousands of fires each year.
Look, we've solved the problem of a flammable thing like gasoline in vehicles, we should be able to do this too.
A spokesperson for the PRBA, the Rechargeable Battery Association, said requiring coverings for batteries like that spongy material would not be a realistic approach to safety. But the trade group says the industry is conducting its own fire safety research and fully expects new regulations soon. Congressman Richie Torres of the Bronx and New York Senators Schumer and Gillibrand are among the policymakers pushing national standards for e-bike batteries and chargers. Chris Glorioso, News 4 New York.